DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, we are back for session number 4, and in this session, we are going to learn lots. Why? Because Jason Weldon is with us. Jason, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am great. This is actually, gang, an interview that I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm going to have Jason come back because we're going to be kind of on a topic tonight with Mobile Beat. But this guy is a wealth of knowledge, and not to inflate your ego or anything, but I've read his articles. He's been in Mobile Beat for many years, and very knowledgeable. And he does things at a different scale than most of us do. So he's got experience and knowledge and such, and I want to definitely dig into that because I think he's got some things that he can teach you in all sorts of areas. But tonight we want to talk about the Mobile Beat presentation you're going to be doing, Jason. So let's start with that. What time and what are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, I'm going to be Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and Ryan and everybody at Mobile Beat wanted to specifically have me dive into, or really wanted a presentation that was geared towards after you've already kind of hired your first employee, maybe your second employee, and you've done all of that research and you've managed to get them and do the interview, and this is the person you kind of want to go with. What's the next step? Okay, they're at your office, or they're going to come in tomorrow. Tomorrow is their very first day. What are some things that you can do to help you make that transition work, to have them be successful, to have them be there on the second day? There just wasn't no one had really dived into speaking about, okay, they're here now. There's tons of seminars on how to look for them, how to potentially train them, but now they're actually working for you, and what are some things and some tips and some tricks that I could help out with. And that's what they came to me with, and I think I've come up with a pretty good 10 things. At least I could probably go on with about 100, but at least 10 things that work well.
So you're going to be giving a lot of management concepts. You'll be talking a lot about managing people and such. Where does that come from? Is that kind of a trial and error thing with you, or have you been able to draw from other experiences?
I mean, I've always believed that hiring people is, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that's the most important thing any of us can do is create jobs. I would rather fill a position with a human being because I think I can give them an opportunity to learn, and in some cases move on. But in every case, I'd like them to stay with me forever. But creating jobs is just, I get a huge kick out of it. And I really think that that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm in business. And when I started doing this years ago, 17, 18 years ago, and I hired my very first employee, a lot of it was trial and error. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, they came in and this person had great personality. They were going to be a great salesperson for me, but it was their very first job out of college. And they came in and they sat down, and it was in my apartment. And I only had one phone. Cell phones weren't really that popular back then.
Right.
And I gave it to him to make phone calls, and then I went to pick the phone up to make my own phone calls, and I was like, oh boy.
Yep.
And so I learned quickly, and I always wanted to make sure that there was a system in place. Whatever I do, however I make a mistake, I want to make sure that I write it down and figure out how I don't make that mistake again. And I learned early. I learned the hard way. I made sure not to make the mistake again. And I read a lot of books. I learned that I'm not a very good student in took me 7 years to graduate college. I'm not a sit in front of a teacher kind of guy, but I could read books and I could kind of learn how other people did it. So I would read as much as I could, ask as many questions as I could to other people. Hey, what are you doing there? And how are you doing this? And I got lucky. And to this day, we have a little over 20 full-time employees, and we take some of those same principles that I was doing when I was 20. I'm still doing today.
Very cool. Very cool. 20 employees. That's very, very impressive in the DJ industry for sure.
Yeah.
We've got people, and I know in a chat room right now, and others who are going to be watching this video over the next couple of days, they're to that point where they're running a very successful single system company, and they've toyed around with expanding and growing, and that of course will take more talent. Now your first person you said was you hired a salesperson first. Is that, as you look back on that today, would that be your recommendation for them to look for a salesperson, or what's the first hire you would recommend?
It's interesting. I usually start with the end theory or the end game first, and whenever I'm advising anybody or talking to anybody, just where do you want to be at 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people think past 3 days from now. Where are we at right now? What's tomorrow? And when you ask somebody genuinely, like, where do you want to be at 10 years from now? Really think hard. What kind of house do you want to be in? How many kids do you want to have? What kind of car are you driving? How much business do you want to? When you start there and you work backwards, it starts to really define who you should hire first. In some cases, I would probably be more inclined to tell somebody they need to hire an HR person first. It was sales I can do, but managing the culture, what you want your company to be 6 months from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, making sure that culture stays strong, and making sure that your beliefs and the values that you have in a company are consistently there, because so many people want to run out and just hire a DJ that can mix well or is good on a microphone, but doesn't really fit their culture and what they're trying to sell to potential bride and grooms, and where they want to be at 10 years from now. One of the big things with Synergetic and the company that I started was that you got to meet your DJ. Every client, everybody who booked us was able to meet their DJ before they booked with us. So it took a lot of time and a lot of patience, and I was the HR person. And looking back now, I think it might have been better for me to go the HR route first. But I get a lot of questions, should your DJs working for you that are working for you now, should you hire them to be your salespeople? Should you hire an outside person? Should you hire a manager? Should you hire an operations guy? I think when you sit down and you look at the plan on where you want to be at 10 years from now, and if you want to not be working as a DJ, or you want to be doing more jobs for less money or less jobs for more money, whatever the case might be, we work backwards to kind of find out where it is that you want to be at. And I think a lot of people get caught up in just DJing every weekend. Before they know it, they're 50 years old, 55 years old, 60 years old, and they're still DJing every single weekend, and they're still stuck in this rut. I like to be the entrepreneurial side. I would like to have, and I have created 8 to 15 guys working for me, and then I get to pick and choose the jobs that I'd like to DJ.
Sure.
So it all depends. I think I'm a big fan of, there's a line in Star Wars where, and I'm not a Star Wars fan, so if I screw this up, I apologize, but the dark side always has 2 people, the master and the apprentice.
Yes.
And I'm a big believer that in business, I think every role that you should have 2 people, the person that's doing it and the person behind them that's learning how to do it. Because that person, hopefully, if you do hire a salesperson, say that's the first person, you're immediately trying to move them up the chain. Next thing they're going to do is maybe be operations. And then after that, maybe they're going to be business development. And after that, maybe they're going to take your position and be a vice president. So you're constantly moving people in the chain. I know that was a really long, drawn-out answer to a very simple question.
Well, no, but that's good. I mean, you're showing thought process, and that's probably one of the most difficult things is as you mentioned, we're so involved with the day-to-day DJ thing that we become overwhelmed with our business, because it's like, oh my God, I'm doing new music, I'm sending contracts out, I'm answering phone calls and emails
Yeah.
and then I don't have time to think, okay, now what would be good for my business?
Yeah, I have an Excel spreadsheet on my desktop at all times, and it's a certain font, and there's only a certain amount of columns, and I write everything that I'm going to do. It's kind of old school, but I write everything that I'm going to do for the day or what I need to get done. And anything that I don't get done, I move over to a column. And when that column gets to a certain point, it's kind of, and I haven't done it. We have some of those things have been in those columns for 2, 3, 4 months that just like I look at every day, but I just don't do it because I'm like, man, and that's how I create the new position that I need to hire. When I get to a point that there's nobody in my company that can do these things and I don't want to do them, I need to find somebody that can do them well, because if I try and do them, I'm going to half-ass it.
Yep.
And there's somebody out there that would do that stuff and likes to do that stuff. And I find we tend to do the things as DJ. Well, there's two different things. If you're a DJ or you're a business owner, I think they're two totally different things. If you want to be a DJ, that's great. If you want to be a business owner, that's great. It's hard to be both. And as a business owner, we get caught up in wanting to constantly DJ. Like, I want to DJ that wedding on Saturday, and then I want to DJ that wedding on Sunday, and then I want to take that appointment on Monday night. And before you know it, you're in the office from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. And then you're DJing on weekends. You have no time for yourself. You have no time to enjoy the business that you're creating, the investment that you're creating, and you just get stuck in this cycle where somebody else can sell that job for you. Somebody else can do the contracts, and they're not going to do it as good as you, but that's your job to create the system and allow them to do it at least as good as you. Hopefully they'll do it better than you. And I think a lot of people would be surprised, especially DJ business owners, will be really surprised that they'll find people that can do things a heck of a lot better than they can. So they can just concentrate on hiring new talent, creating new systems, going after new markets, and growing the company consistently year after year.
Yeah, but that delegation of tasks is something that's tough for a person to do. But once you start and once you have succeeded in that realm a little bit, it's almost addicting.
Yeah, it's I hear it time and time again. I can't find anybody that can do it better than me, and it's funny because I when I hear that line, I automatically look at the person and say, you realize that you're the problem, not them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard for them to swallow that pill because you hired the wrong person. You didn't give them enough training. You didn't have a system in place. There's a great book called Good to Great. And it's one of the very first books that I ever read, because when you open the book, the first sentence in the book is good is the enemy of great.
Yes.
And it's just, it hooked me. And I'm reading the whole book, and I get to a point, there's this mirror window philosophy. And most business owners, when everything is going great, they look in the mirror at themselves and they say, I did a good job. And when everything's going bad, they look out the window to the rest of their team and they're like, you guys got to get better. Yeah. We got to fix this. We got to do this better. And when they were doing a lot of different interviews in this book, they found that great business owners, when everything was going bad, they looked in the mirror at themselves and they said, what did I do wrong? How did I mess this up? Where could I get better at this? And when everything was going great, they looked out the window to their team and said, you guys are doing a great job. And I don't do the look out the window, you guys are doing a great job, as much as I do, let me look in the mirror and see, how did I mess this up? Where do I need to change the system? And a lot of times when I talk to other business owners, be it a DJ, a photographer, a videographer, whatever the case might be, when they can't find somebody, they're just not doing it the right way. They're not advertising for the position the right way. They have no idea who they really want to hire. They haven't profiled the person that they want to hire. And it takes a real deep thinking. You have to put some time into where do you want to be at 3 years from now? Because if you're just going to hire the DJ that's DJing for on weekends, who's 23 years old, to come in and sell for you, there's a good chance he's not going to be there a year from now. And you have to really think about that. And those questions are good to ask yourself. I've got a ton of them that I'm going to be talking about in the seminar, because once you do hire them, how do you constantly look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, that wasn't right today, so tomorrow I got to change this, so that when he or she comes in, we're not running that same issue again.
Right. One concern as we're going through here that comes to my head is when DJs are looking to add a new office person, another person to handle social media or the HR side of things, what have you, is the company's running. We're here and we're doing well. And if we're going to bring another person in, obviously we've got another mouth to feed. We have more payroll. How do people get over that hurdle, that mental hurdle of okay, I'm bringing more outlay expense in, and will it, can I afford it?
Yeah. Well, no, you can't afford it. Old, I need the money to hire the people, but I need the people to get the money. And it's just the way that you have to change your angle on how you're looking at it. And when you get a different vantage point, you have different vision on it. So we're all looking at the same thing, but certain people have a little bit of a higher vantage point, so they have a different view of the same exact animal. In my instance, I was able to understand that I can have banks leverage. I can leverage the banks, and I can get money from them. So I don't need business yet. I can go out and go to the bank and walk down the street. Let's just take advantage. Let's just say a salesperson is going to cost $30,000.
Yep.
Let's just say, let's be better than that. Let's just say it's going to be $50,000. You're going to pay somebody $50,000 to come and do your sales for you. Most people, I think, today, there are a good percentage of people that could probably walk down to the bank and take out $50,000, either a home equity line of credit, maybe $25,000 on a signature loan, and something else. Maybe they have investments somewhere. You take the $50,000 out and you hire your first salesperson. And you look, the look on people's eyes when you tell them to do that is like, wait a second, you want me to take a $50,000 loan out? Well, what happens if I can't? And they're already starting from behind the point because you're successful. You've gotten this far. Why would you think you're going to go backwards? You're not. If you're good, if you're genuinely good and people like your service and you think you can teach more people how to do it, that $50,000 is the best investment that you can make. But it boggles my mind that someone will go out and buy a $50,000 Lexus and then in 4 years have something that's worthless.
Yes.
Whereas take that $50,000, you won't even use all that $50,000 because if you pay somebody a decent salary, you're maybe going to have to tie in your draw on that line of credit maybe for 3 or 4 weeks because that person's going to start churning. It's going to start churning, or she's going to start churning out work. And now they're self-sufficient. What they're bringing in is what you don't even have to touch that because it's evening itself out. And then afterwards, it's becoming there. You have some left over. Then you have more left over, and now you have this $50,000 line of credit that you can use for another person, or you can use on gear, or you can use on advertising. But I hear this question a lot. I don't want to hire this first person, and it's like, well, why? And a lot of times they're just scared because they think that person isn't going to generate sales.
Yeah.
You have to get over that. You have to get over the fear. You have to stop being scared. You have to take a chance. I tell people, you got one shot on this world, like you got on this planet. We got one time. That's it. You can't do tomorrow again. Take the risk, take the chance, believe in yourself, do a good job, put some systems down, which is what I'm going to talk about when we're at the conference. But you have to put some skin in the game. You have to take the chance to be able to say, this is going to work, and I believe it can. And if it can't, successful people consistently find a way to fix it so it doesn't fail. So then it doesn't fail. And when you look back on it 3 years from now, you end up saying like, man, that was only $50,000. Because then if your company keeps growing, you're talking about loans of $500,000, $1 million. So the numbers just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But you gotta believe in yourself, and you gotta know that the product and the service you're putting out there, people want.
Yeah, that's as we're talking about this, and the growth and such. I know there's some folks who are in our chat room right now that they're probably thinking to themselves, I don't want to grow like that. I don't want to do that. And I guess probably the thing is to get across to that is that's not a bad thing.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because you mentioned earlier to look ahead. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And I know many people would rather, I think, have small and simple, than to build something like that. It's not for everybody, I guess, is probably the best way I'm describing it. Oh, did we freeze up? Oh, we got a really good picture. Oh, I think we did. I think we froze up, gang. Jason's going to be speaking, of course, at Mobile Beat Las Vegas, coming up here in March 13th through the 16th. The link for the full seminar schedule is down below in the description if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. Either one, you can see that there. Yeah, that's a great actual picture. I mean, he could put that up on the screen, and it would be it'll be something awesome for him to use. Such. Yeah, I think we lost him there for that. So we'll hang on just for a second and see if he will be back. Yeah, Jason froze. He's mad. Yes, because he thinks everyone should be. No, as you guys are listening, though, Jason's talking about building a true business, and Matt was talking about that also tonight. Is that the idea of having a larger business that will work for you instead of you working and being a slave to the business, that you will have a business and a system set up that will be making you money. So as Jason was saying, when you hit the 50 and 60-year-old, I don't have to DJ every weekend. I can go and let other people do what they need to do, and it becomes a business that's, for one thing, saleable. I know, Reggie, you mentioned earlier that you're single and you're going to stay a single op. I've made that transition back to a single op, and that's not exactly the greatest thing, because as a single op, I'm in the business. Jason, just let me finish this here, Jason.
Sure.
As a single op, if I want to go and sell, it's John Young is the DJ. There's nothing for me to really sell because I am it. Now, Jason, I was just talking about that idea of when you get to the point where you're wanting to retire, and you will now have something that has value because your business, you have created a system and a team and things that really don't depend on you personally.
Yeah, and where we got disconnected was on where you want it, the person who doesn't want to grow their company.
Exactly.
And then obviously I think what you were getting to was what you have as some residual value if you wanted to leave.
Yes.
I love when I sit down with someone and I talk to someone who says, I don't want to have people working for me. I want it to be it's just me. This is what I am, and this is what I truly believe. There's not even all there is now is just a conversation. Like that's amazing. You know what you want.
Yep.
The kind of I don't want to say problem or issue, but the part that boggles my mind are the people that don't know what they want. They think they want to grow, but they don't know because they don't think they can hire people, but they don't know if they want to stay small, but they kind of want to grow. And then they come to you for help, and then they don't do what you tell them to do. And then so it's like this, well, you're just spinning circles around and around. So, as long as you know what you want, you're going to get the most out of life, because the person who is if it were just me being a DJ, I've said this countless times, if it were just me being a DJ, I didn't have people working for me, I would charge $5,000 a job. I would only work on like Saturday nights. You'd have to have like so many people there, but I would know that every part of my job, I'd have to put $1,500 or $2,000 away, because in order to, at 65, if I'm a full-time DJ, if that's all I am, I got to be able to have a retirement savings on that. So I'm not charging $5,000 because I just picked that number out of the blue. I picked that because if I charge $5,000 and I do 20 weddings a year or 25 weddings a year, and I take the $1,000 or $1,500 and put it away and invest it wisely when I turn 65, or I don't know if you're going to be DJing when you're 65. I'm sure there's some guys that are, but you're going to have a retirement fund there.
Yeah.
I didn't choose that route. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted the business to work for me. I wanted it to be an investment. I physically don't DJ anymore. I do 2 weddings, 2 events a year, New Year's Eve job and a prom. And even at that, it's I bring people with me that kind of know what they're doing and can help me. I wanted to have a business. I wanted to have something that I don't have to work on the weekends, that I can leave at 6 o'clock at night, 6:30 at night. I wanted something that is going to be an investment for me. And for people that are interested in that route, I'm a very good resource. For people that aren't interested in that route, I might be the complete opposite, because I'm trying to have a conglomerate, a big group of guys going out and DJing. But I respect that side of it. And certainly I think you have a lot less headache that side. You know, you get to be a little bit more particular with the jobs you do and a little bit more personable. But it's the people in the middle that I think can use the most advice and guidance.
Yeah. And I get calls from DJs wanting to ask questions and such, and it's the middle that are they're the tough ones. And then the second pet peeve of mine is when they spend more time arguing for their limitations than identifying what they really want. But I think that's a whole other show for us.
Yeah, certainly.
Jason, if people would like to get in touch with you to ask questions or find out more about some of the, maybe some coaching and things like that, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me. My cell phone is 215-696-7573. They can text me. They can give me a call. You can also go on to I have a consulting site, SC Incorporated, and then just our DJ site, which is meetyourdj.com. You can also just email me at jason.weldon@SSL Productions. You can go on my Facebook page. It's an open, there's a million different ways you can get in touch with me.
Yeah.
But I'm open to chat with anybody about kind of where they're going, what they want to do, what if I'm wrong, if my opinions are not in line. I'm open to a good debate. And then I'll be at Mobile Beat, so you can come there and see me on Monday at 4:00 is my presentation.
That sounds great. Jason, I appreciate your time. It went way too quickly tonight, and we'll have to set up a time again after Mobile Beat to talk some more if you got some time for us.
No problem, John. I certainly will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks much. Gang, we'll be back in a few minutes. The last link at the very bottom. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes.